Good morning and welcome to the May 10th, 2019 episode of Fill Me In. I'm a little bit overdue for these. It's been a second since I recorded my last one. I apologize. I've been very busy because there's a lot going on at BriteCore, and I'm excited to share a lot of that with you this morning. So jumping right in, very first thing, USAA did in fact select us to move forward with a POC project, which is pretty cool. The scale and scope of this project is much larger than what we've done in the past with other customers. For the POC, which POC stands for Proof of Concept, if you don't know that term, they have asked for between 20 and 40 engineers on our side and 20 and 40 engineers on their side. And this is a limited basis project. And if it goes really well, we would scale up to more like 100 to 150 team members on the project. So it's quite large. If you'd like to see a little bit about what's going on there and learn more about the plans around all of that, there's a USAA channel in Slack. You can hit Command K in Slack and check for USAA and go join that channel. Or you can go to Google Drive and you'll see that there's a document labeled USAA in our Team Google Drive under the Project Management folder. And inside that document, I've listed out some of the key objectives for the project, the resourcing, scalability, what any showstoppers might be. So I've listed out all of the things they're wanting to learn. And if you scroll down in that document to section number 2, you can see the proposal that we're putting together for what teams would work on what sort of projects through that demo and trial period. The goal behind that project is to help USA evaluate whether or not we are the type of partner they want to work with and whether or not BriteCore could meet their needs. So we want to, show really well on that project while also making sure we engage on a limited basis. So if things are challenging and it doesn't go as well as we hope, we're not all completely committed at this incredibly high level. So that's moving forward. I'm incredibly excited about it, and you'll hear a lot more. The launch date for that project is currently slated to be late June. I think it's like June 24th is currently what we have penciled in, and we're meeting with them every Tuesday for 2 hours working through planning, and so that date will get firmed up as we get a little bit closer. Moving on past that, next exciting thing happening at BriteCore is that we have a signed term sheet from our selected capital partner right now. So as you can imagine, if we're going to raise that much money, we're going to need, tackle projects that size, we're going to need to raise some money in order to pay for it all. And a little while back, we set out to secure a new capital partner and inject new funds into the company, and Zach's been instrumental in helping us move that bar forward. I am excited to announce that we have a term sheet signed with Warburg Pincus. Warburg Pincus is one of the largest capital firms in the world. They have a little over $40 billion in assets under management, and we are raising $30 million in primary operating capital from Warburg right now, and they have $100 million set back for future operations if we were to need those funds, which is really exciting for us because it means we have the capital we need to fund operations for some time. The document that I'm sharing here is the pitch deck that they put together for BriteCore, and one of the things that I think is really exciting is that Warburg is an exceptionally well-respected and well-funded firm, and they went out and did a bunch of their own independent market research and market analysis on BriteCore, and what they came back with was just very encouraging for us. We have an excellent reputation in the industry, and they are really excited about us because when they called our customers, when they called all of the consultants that work in the industry, everyone had really nice things to say about BriteCore, and so that really convinced them. And so it's sort of a good reminder for all of us that whenever we are, our actions do in fact build our reputation. And so it's important that as we think about engaging each of our customers, and every day when we go out and we send a certain email, we have a certain tone, or any of those things, and in all of our engagements, the word gets back around, and it gets around to consultants, and it filters through all of our customer base, and those things go out to capital partners, and our reputation really matters. And at the moment, our reputation is excellent, and we owe that to all of you that are working with customers and in projects every single day, making sure that BriteCore is well represented and that we are doing the right thing for people. So very excited. There's still a 30-day window where we are working through final details to make sure that everything is on the up and up for both sides, for Warburg and for us. But it looks exceedingly likely now that they will be our capital partner and that we will have $30 million in additional operating funds so that we can continue to scale the Generation 3 product teams and continue to build up our service organization so that we can tackle customers like USAA. So that's really, really exciting. In addition to the USAA announcement and the Warburg announcement for funding, we also are continuing to move forward with our scaled agile framework and all of the implementation and the transformation that's going on there. So you can see, for those of you who have been looking and watching, we have this Miro board. I've referred to it a bunch in Slack. And the idea behind how this is being designed is that all the teams on the left side of this board are service teams. They are support teams. They're teams that do equally critical work to the teams on the right, but they are the teams that make sure the organization is positioned such that we can deliver on software. While all the teams on the right side of the board are the teams that are directly responsible for delivering our software. And for those of you who, I just posted a big post in Slack yesterday to explain to everyone, in sort of one central document, that we're organizing all engineering, whether it's support, implementation, or product development, all into unified product teams. And the product teams are all listed here, and you can see where I'm doing my very best to source a product owner, some business analysts where they're necessary to supplement the product owners, architects, lead engineers, scrum masters, and an engineering team into every single one of our product teams. So that's a huge thing that's happening there. In addition to staffing out the organization and trying to build our organizational design, I'm also working with our new Agile coaches. We retained Colin and Sajjan from Icon. Colin was one of the original founders of SAFe, and they're in consulting now. So you will likely all be hearing from, at very least, Sajjan over the next few months. You also notice that I posted an announcement, and Chris Roldan will be serving as Agile coach. So she is sort of working with everyone to make sure that we have a unified rollout plan. A lot of other people are transitioning into new roles so that we are aligned around a safe organization, and our organizational structure reflects our goals. So there's a million questions a lot of you have had around what is my role? What does that mean if I'm a product owner? What does it mean if I'm a scrum master? What does it mean to be an architect? And some of the work that's happening behind the scenes is that we're working on job descriptions for each one of those roles. What exactly is expected from you, and what are your ceremonies, and what are your deliverables, and how do you do your job well? How do you evaluate success? And so all of that work is happening right now. It's all public in our Google Drive, so you can go look under Project Management, Planning, Scaled Agile Framework, and you will see job descriptions in there. So we are working, as quickly as we can to try to codify all of that and make it very clear to everyone what is expected of you in your role as we try to adopt a new project management and product management strategy. To assist with some of that training, we are also scheduling some summits coming up. So there's a product owner summit and a scrum master summit, both coming up in the next month and a half. And if you have one of those roles, you should already know about that. If you don't know about that, you'll know about it soon. And we're trying to schedule those and bring everyone together to Springfield so that we can host some training and all sort of get trained at the same time, hear the same words. For those of you who can't attend in person, we'll record it just like we did with the PD Summit. I have purchased a significant amount of new audio-visual gear so that the production quality will be more like what you're seeing right now on this Fill Me In episode and all future summits. So we're really trying to do a good job at making sure that when you can't be here personally, you still have a quality experience by engaging remotely. To support the transition to SAFe, we're also implementing a new software platform. That software platform is called Version 1, and you can actually go out to see it on the internet if you want to see some demos. It's the company's CollabNet. The software is called Version 1. It will be our new project management suite, and that new project management suite is designed to replace Jira and Clubhouse. The reason we're switching to new software is that both Jira and Clubhouse, first of all, we're in two different pieces of software, which is ridiculous that we have two project management suites. We have two because they each excel at different things. Neither of those software suites was designed for Scaled Agile. And the great thing about version 1 is it was designed for Scaled Agile. So a lot of the sort of structures and the ceremonies and the way you would organize your backlogs are already set up by default in version 1 the way that we need them. And that's great. There's a significant implementation project that we're going to go through with that as well. A few people have been assigned to help sort of spearhead that. But what you're going to see is that within the next 6 weeks or so, we will be rolling out a new project management software suite, and it'll be called version 1. There's quite a bit of work that has to happen between now and then. So if you're asked to help with some of the projects surrounding the conversion, please be aggressive, be active, be timely with that. For example, we have to go through all of the backlogs in both Clubhouse and Jira and make sure that every single user story or ticket or card or whatever they're called in your piece of software, that all of those are tagged by the customer that needs to that we're trying to deliver the value to. And then also by the product team that will be picking that work up, because in our new world, there aren't going to be service teams, support team, product development teams. Everyone will work inside of domain-specific products. And so it's important that we make sure that all of the tickets that are out there and all the user stories get picked up by those product teams so nothing gets dropped. So there are a lot of other small projects like that need to occur, but if you're asked to do something to help with the transition, please don't view it as an inconvenience or something outside of your job. It's a critical step to make sure that we can deploy all of this and do it well so that we continue to deliver industry-leading service to our customers, so that they continue to give us great referrals so our sales keep up, and so that our capital partners come through, and it's all one big giant circle. So another thing that you'll see as we adopt SAFe is that we will also be migrating into the world where we have very, very formal sprint structures. And you've seen a lot of that happening already. There are product demos occurring on a regular basis now. We're trying to get everyone into the exact same 2-week sprints where you're doing sprint planning, you get effort points on everything, there's daily stand-ups, at the end you shoot a demo, and then there's a retrospective. And at the moment, we're really trying to enforce good, solid Scrum practices across every single team. Some of the gaps that still remain would be, for example, we really want to make sure that at the end of every sprint, every product team is pushing to a live UAT environment, and the product owner in that product team is shooting the demo in the live environment. So we're not, counting as done things that are just on developer machines, or maybe they're not quite tested, or maybe they're not quite deployed. We want to get to the point where counting something as done means that it's deployed onto a UAT environment, onto a live server somewhere. In order for that to be true, there's some DevOps work that needs to occur. There's some deployment and platform work that needs to occur, and all that's happening in parallel. But the place we're trying to get to is that every single sprint, you have committed to a certain amount of work. That amount of work is reasonable. It's less than your total capacity, so you're planning for things to go wrong. So we're going to ask that you don't commit to more than about 70 or 80% of the total points. Effort points that you historically have delivered on in your sprint. So give yourself a gutter, leave some overhead. And then once you do those things, make sure that we have the points on all the stories. We don't add stories mid-sprint. Once we go into the sprint, we commit to the work, we work on it. At the end, we push it live, we deploy it to a UAT environment, and then the product owner goes through and demos that functionality, both at the product level and then also at the customer level. So there's a ton going on there. With so many processes changing, one of the big things that we have to do is make sure that we have written down what the new processes are so that everyone knows and we're all doing the same thing. So there are some other projects happening in parallel where several people inside the company are working through process documents and trying to write out what is our process going to be. So what is the Sentinel process? And what is the PR review process? And what is the deployment process? And how do you request change management? And what do you do when a customer asks you to inject something into a sprint and you shouldn't? So there's a lot of that being written down. The reason I tell you all of that is because there's a lot coming and I want you to be prepared for it. I also tell you that because there's a lot of help that we need. So if you are really interested in participating in writing down some of those processes and helping think through them, please let us know that. You can put it in the discussion thread on the backside of this post for this video. Just say, hey, I'm here. I have some expertise in whatever it is, PR review, continuous integration, continuous deployment, whatever your expertise is, so we can, ask for your help to sit down and write all of this out and put this all in place. So those things are all happening. I have a few other details I'd like to share that are outside of the USAA, the fundraise, and the SAFE implementation. They're just sort of general comments that have been brought to my attention over the last month and a half since I recorded the last one of these videos. One of the things that I've noticed is that as the company continues to get busier and there is more and more going on, it is getting very difficult to manage all of our calendars. And we're moving to a world where we are always operating in 2-week sprints. So one of the things that you'll see here is that I've actually gone to my own calendar and I've set it up such that I can, that I have everything, all of my meetings recurring on bi-weekly sprints. And Tila is helping me set this up, and this document is also shared publicly. And I'm hoping to set an example here so that everyone can go through and build all of our meetings, where they happen on the hour, they happen in recurring blocks of the exact same every sprint, so that we don't have so much calendar chaos with things being scheduled in 15-minute increments or a meeting occurring every 5 weeks or whatever, because that really throws off our sprint cadence. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. If you have an opportunity to rearrange your own calendar around a 2-week sprint cycle, I highly recommend that you do that. Additionally, I've noticed that as things have gotten busier and we have more customers and there's more initiatives and more products, that Slack has become really noisy. So I am also on a little bit of a crusade right now to leave Slack channels, and I would encourage all of you to do the same as well. Slack is very, very noisy. And if you are reading a channel every day and you're going in, every few hours and catching up on a conversation thread, but you're not really contributing to that conversation thread on a regular basis, leave the channel. The people in that channel can always invite you back if they need you. So I'm really on a mission right now to try to make sure that people are reducing the amount of noise that they are trying to manage and absorb in Slack. So first of all, calendar rearrangement. Number 2, Slack. Number 3, I've also noticed a lot lately that as we change processes and we're going in and we're doing some auditing, that I'll ask someone, why did you abandon, for example, the Sentinel process? Recently in Gen 2 engineering, the Sentinel process has been abandoned. Why? That's absurd. I can't. How are we ever expect to get PRs merged if we don't have Sentinels? And when I started asking around, well, why did that happen? Everyone said, I don't know why. There is a core value and a core ethic at BriteCore that I want all of you to internalize, which is if you don't know why something is happening, you're like that seems dumb that this is occurring, but I'm just doing it anyway because someone told me to. Stop doing that. All right. Go to the general channel if you have to and say, hey, I think this is completely idiotic that we started doing this thing. Why are we doing that? If you're asked to produce a feature that doesn't make any sense, if you're about to deploy functionality that would be broadly useful, but you're doing it behind a setting, there are a range of really absurd practices that have arisen inside of BriteCore over the last year or so. And it's just a function of the team growing and a lot of people being new. But if you can't really answer why a thing is happening, why a process is occurring, why you're doing something the way you're doing it, why you're building the feature that you're building, don't move forward. Because if you don't know why, there's always a really good chance that no one else knows why either, and you're doing something really, really dumb. So please, please, please do not just do what you're told because you're told to do it. Understand why, make sure it makes sense to you, and if it doesn't make sense to you, make noise in, first of all, probably a targeted channel. If that's not getting anywhere, go to the general channel and I will answer it. We are doing our very best to try to eliminate and reduce waste and really bad practices that have arisen probably just by default right now. And that's why a lot of those process documents are being written. So number 1, calendar. Number 2, Slack channels, quiet down your Slack channels. Number 3, ask why. Make sure you have a good compelling reason for why. If you don't know why, ask questions. Number 4, there are a number of concerns that I have heard raised recently about what's happening with my role in SAFE, or hey, I'm not sure about this new project management suite, or whatever the case may be. If you have a concern at BriteCore. There's something you're worried about. There's something you're nervous about. A lot of you have come from larger corporations or other companies where it's frowned upon to raise concerns and to express that you feel nervous or you feel worried about something. At BriteCore, we encourage that. So if you're concerned about something, you're nervous about something, and you want to know, hey, I think this might be a mistake, raise concerns. First of all, bring them to your manager if your manager is able to answer them and sort of embrace your concern and help you process that. And help you, affect change when change is necessary. That's great. If your manager's not able to do it, raise it to their manager. And at the end of the day, all the things elevate to me. So if you think there is something that you're nervous about, you're worried about, and you want to know why and how this thing is happening, raise a concern in a channel. You are always welcome to put it in the AMA channel for Phil and Chris. Chris and I go through and we try to answer all of those questions regularly. And if I think it merits a deeper conversation, I will circle back around with you and have sort of a one-on-one. So number one, try to make your calendars more efficient. See if you can lock your meetings to bi-weekly sprints and get them on a recurring basis on the hour. Number two, if your Slack channel is really, really busy, you're in a million Slack channels all the time, you go in, it's a wall, leave a bunch of Slack channels. Number three, know why you're doing what you're doing. If you can't articulate why, don't do it and ask questions. And number four, if you have significant concerns about something that's going on at BriteCore, just raise the concern publicly so we can answer them. So those are some of the main things I wanted to impart to everyone. I'm very excited about the new USAA deal. This is sort of our moment to move up into a much larger market and do things that are pretty exciting and pretty important, and they matter a lot. I'm very excited about the $30 million fundraise. That's going to drive our operations for a long time, and I feel really, really good about that. And knowing that there's another $100 million in the back room when we need it is very comforting. And then the safe adoption, the scaled agile adoption, is moving forward. All roads, all at once, and we're trying to make sure that we get these things done. I know that's a lot of change. And that's why I said the things I said about raising questions and making sure your concerns are addressed and know why you're doing what you're doing. We have a ton we're trying to accomplish, but we have an enormous amount of opportunity in front of all of us. And I am thrilled with the progress that I've seen and all of the traction that I've seen across our company. So post things. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment thread underneath this video. And I will visit with all of you again very, very soon. So have a great week.